they're Israelite because their bloodline goes back to Israel through their father, but they look like another nation, and yet they agree with this. Like the Ethiopian eunuch that Philip was speaking to, you know, he was from Ethiopia. You know, he was a eunuch under Candace. You know, and he probably looked like an Ethiopian, but yet he was an Israelite. And then when you read Acts the 2nd chapter, it talks about how Israel, there were people coming from everywhere that spoke Greek, that spoke the language of the Elamites, that spoke all different kind of language, but they were coming to Israel to keep the feast. Yeah. You know, so you can't tell me that some of them didn't look like those nations that they were living amongst. Because when we're living amongst these other nations, look, you got you a Japanese woman, man. So you know
that's my ex-wife.
You know how we like to get down. So let's you got a precept, and then after you get that precept, we're gonna come back to Revelations.
Second Ezra 8:1, and he answered me saying, the Most High had made this world for many, and the world to come for few. And I'm gonna skip down to 3. And there may be created, but few shall be saved.
Many are created, but few shall be saved, you know? So, you know, this world, like it said, this world is created for many, but the world that's to come is made for few, you know?
You want 3?
Yeah, go back to verse 3.
Okay. Revelation 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Oh, go back up where it says that they had the child.
Okay. Verse 2. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered.
In pain to be delivered. Can you grab that in Matthew's 2:1? I'm sorry. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's come back to that. Salakia. Because it's going to talk about how they made war against her son, but he was called into heaven. Go ahead.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon.
Matter of fact, get that. It's a lot.
This is Matthew chapter 2, starting from verse 1. Now when, you want me to use the name?
You can use it.
All right. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judah in the days...
It was prophesied in the book of Micah, the 5th chapter, that he would be born in Bethlehem, right?
So you call Jesus what?
Yahushua. That's his name according to the Hebrew.
That's Hebrew.
Yeah, but we can get into that in a minute.
I know that.
Okay.
That's the name over there.
Go ahead.
I'll start over. Verse 1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judah in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him.
So that's what it was. We're gonna come back to it, but that's what it was talking about when it says that when she travailed with child, you know, because Mary gave birth to the Messiah, to our Lord. Go ahead. Go to 4.
And his tail drew the 3rd part of.
Go ahead, read.
Of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was.
Now, basically, what it says that the tail represents the end part of the Roman Empire, right. Which the end part of the Roman Empire was ruled by Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. All 3 of them made war against Israel, you know, and they basically when they fought the war against Israel, a lot of the Israelites fled out of the land of Israel and they fled back into Egypt.
So our whole time,
I'm sorry, they didn't flee into Egypt, they fled into Africa, the western part of Africa.
The whole time that we've been on Earth, we've been like basically slaves.
Yes, we've been slaves. Hey,
so
can you grab
I gotta ask one more
Matthew's
question.
the 24th chapter?
I gotta go get my kids right now. Is it? I mean, so do y'all pray over people too?
We can pray for you, but you know the scriptures also talk about working out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But we pray for people.
You like baptize or something? Like put them in the touching them or something like that, or like what do you
Man, you just a prayer for you.
Just praying for
Yeah, you can.
Hey, but
Well, if you're part of Hopeful
Life. You said you guys are here every
Saturday. Around 1 to 5.
1 to 5? Okay. Nice meeting you guys.
All right, likewise. They got your kids right there.
Oh, thank you.
But you can. They look like they chilling. If you want to get fed a little bit more, you can go ahead. Go.
You know the scriptures also say he that raises and teaches his son.
Yeah, Matthew 20.
Grieveth the enemy.
Oh yeah, they know the scriptures.
Okay.
They know a lot.
Just make sure.
Yep.
All right, take care, man. Have a nice day.
That's the only way I can protect them in this world.
Take care.
All right, you got that in Matthew 24, fleeing to the.
You know where it's at exactly? To the mountain.
I know in Luke 21.
Yeah, Luke 21.
I know it's Luke 21 in there, but I was trying to find it in the map. Or is it 21?
You can get the one in Luke 21.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Matthew 24.
It'll probably be in Luke 21 as a precept
Yeah, the
anyway.
precept.
Oh, 24 and 1, I guess. 24 and 7. Oh, 24 and 15, I got it. This is Matthew's chapter 24, verse 15. It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand it. Then let them which be in Jerusalem flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of the house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
So basically, this is talking about 70 AD, because that's when Vespasian and his seeds began to come up against the nation of Israel. So when they led that insurrection against the nation of Israel, a lot of the Israelites fled back into the continent of Africa.
Still want to go back to that. Still want to go to what we're talking about now.
I told you, go right back. You go right back into it.
Verse 4, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
So that's Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, you know, that he made war against. Go ahead.
And did cast them to the earth. And just to say something real quick, you can look up the Atlas Mountains, which they fled into. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Okay, now hold on. Go back to Matthew, the 2nd chapter. Because as soon as Yahushua was born, man, they were ready to kill him, man. Hey, Herod inquired of the wise men and said, where is he that is to be born, the king of the Jews, man? These Edomites wanted to kill Yahushua as soon as he was born. It's so much to the point where they murdered every child that was 2 years old and less. And because the scripture tells you around the time that Yahushua was going to come. Go ahead.
This is Matthew chapter 2, going on from verse 3. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Hamashiach should be born. Verse 5, and they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus it is written by the prophet. Verse 6, and thou, Bethlehem in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah.
Art not thou the least among the princes of Judah?
God. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
God.
Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared.
Yeah, and that star is talking about a chariot, man. You know, because when Yahushua was born, that was a big chariot in the sky that was hovering over him. Go ahead.
Verse 8, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also.
Because Herod, he was being subtle, you know, because he really wanted to kill him so that he can continue to reign as king over the Jews. Remember, the Herodians had converted over, or the Edomites, which the Herodians was a branch, a sect or a branch out of the Edomites. They were following the Jew customs. So Herod wanted to be the king over the Jews. Go ahead. Yeah, go down to the point, yo.
This is I'm gonna start from verse 16, and this is when after the wise men told. This is when after
He
Joseph
found out he was mocked. The wise men.
Yeah. Joseph went and took Yahushua and got him out of there, basically. So this is verse 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men.
And that's the reason why the book of Revelation says, and they were ready to devour her child as soon as it was born. Go ahead.
When did that happen before? About the children being the male children being destroyed before, not back in Egypt. So how do these other kingdoms learn from the previous kingdom that was before? Go ahead. Yeah, now what you think they're about to do in this time? They're trying to get rid of the Israelites.
Hey, well, Yahweh,
the men.
Moses did say, another shall the Most High, another prophet shall the Most High raise unto you like unto me, hear ye him. But what happened to in Moses' time? Moses had to be taken away the same way, you know? He had to be put in the vessel, and he ended up being saved because the Egyptian woman drew him up out of the ark, you know? But Yahushua had to flee as well, you know? And that's just a fulfillment of what Moses said. And then when Yahushua grew up and he delivered the children, he's going to deliver the children of Israel the same way that Moses delivered the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Revelation.
And that's it.
Revelations 12:4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born. Verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of.
And that goes to show you that Yahushua don't love all of these nations, man. All of these heathenistic nations, man. That he only loved the children of Israel because what did he say that he's gonna rule them with?
He said, who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Yahweh and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness.
So now it's jumping back into 70 AD when the Romans besieged Israel, you know, and they fled into those mountains, those Atlas mountains. So it's going back into that. Go ahead.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of Yahweh, that they should feed her 1,260 days, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
And what happened after they fled into the wilderness in 70 AD? They were brought here to America, you know, and they were kept here in America in slavery for 350 years. From Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, from 1619 or 1620 all the way into 1970. You know, can you grab that in Daniel 9, and you can read from verse 24 on down, because that goes in, this goes into 70 AD as well. Yeah, 24.
This is Daniel chapter 9, starting from verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thine holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity.
And this is from the time of this is from the time this was spoken unto Daniel. So from the time that Daniel was set up all the way up until, what was that, 490 years later? Go ahead.
And to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. No,
because the temple at the in between that time was desecrated. You know, it was made abominable from the heathens. So what they did was during the time of the Maccabees, they got Israel back in order, and they rededicated the temple of the Most High. You know, and they cleaned up Israel.
Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 80 and 2 weeks. And
so they